Even though not that many people are going to see this video, and let's be honest, I don't think many would be seeing the other two videos I uploaded. For those that are wondering, when it comes to my 3D printing as a whole for my YouTube channel, do not expect any more 3D printers on my channel. I am done with 3D printing. With that said, if you ever do see a 3D printer on my channel again, it's because some 3D print company decided to have the balls, after seeing what I did to my A1 here, to send me their 3D printer to prove that their 3D printer is actually good and doesn't die after 3 weeks. I doubt a company will do that, but that'll be the only way I actually get another 3D printer on my YouTube channel. Because again, when it comes to 3D printing, I was very eager to really implement this stuff into my 3D print, into my papercraft hobby. Not just to make figures, but also integrate them into like parts I need for RC stuff and whatnot for my figures, like little trailers and whatnot to lug them around my conventions. I was actually planning on using this 3D printer here to rebuild Congo. Granted, that video didn't get that many videos, but still, or views, but still, I want to use this 3D printer in combination with that rebuild and make her even better. But obviously, that ain't happening anymore. And as it seems right as it is right now, it ain't never going to happen. I'm still going to rebuild Congo, but I'm not going to implement anything 3D based on her. With that also said, if said ballsy company that has a 3D printer that wants to send it my way to prove that their printers are actually good and don't die within 3 weeks of use, if you're going to do that, there is one thing I am going to let you know right now, that if you do have the balls to do that, and you do want to send a 3D printer my way to prove that your printers are actually good, what I'll do is I'll be documenting everything from all the issues I encounter, and if I am unable to fix any issue that comes up in a reasonable amount of time, a few days, I'll be packing that thing up and I'll be sending it right back to where it came from. I will not be destroying it. I will not be giving it the floor of shame. I'll be doing the right thing and I'll just be packing it up and returning it. The reason why I did not do that with the A1 is pretty simple. I fucking can't return it. If the return policy was 30 days and or 60 days, I would have packed this thing up as it sat with whatever 3D print I had on the bed and got my money back. But since I cannot return this thing, I just went into I am done mode. I'm cutting all my losses mode, and I'm not touching 3D printers again. With that said, I have a 3 strikes and you're out policy for a lot of technology. And this actually originally started with AMD of all things. Back when we were all naive about Cyberpunk 2077 coming out, I was wanting to build myself a new desktop, obviously not high-end at the time, a decent little mid-tier, to play Cyberpunk 2077. And at the time, it kind of ran it fine. We all know how Cyberpunk was when it initially released. So after I learned that it doesn't really run that well on my computer, I wanted to get an upgrade card to, well, give it a little bit more boost. At the time, I got myself an RX 5600 XT. Getting that video card just brought everything to a head. To make a long story short, I had multiple dead processors, multiple dead video cards, multiple dead motherboards. And on top of that, this is when my father was gracious enough to put $1,000 in new upgrade components. So those parts I talked about that are dead, that's my father being willing to purchase new processors, new motherboards, and video cards for this thing. Now, yes, we did RMA the card and whatnot a few times over, but my father had to pay a little extra to get an upgrade card to try and resolve all these issues. Nothing we did worked. And I have it all documented on my channel if you really want to see how bad I was, because towards the end, I was livid. So if you really want to see how livid I could get and just see me in a really bad light, go look at that playlist. It is on my channel. None of the videos have been taken down, as far as I know. But either way, that is where I started my 3 strikes and you're out policy. I had that with AMD, and ever since then, I have now switched over to Intel and NVIDIA, not on just my main, but my secondary, and of course the printer I was using for my 3D print, or the computer I was using for my 3D printer. They're all Intel and NVIDIA, excluding the secondary right here, which has some motherboard issues. They've been all stable, and all I had to do to fix this one's motherboard issues was just replace the motherboard. And on top of that, it's actually an Asus motherboard. Asus will come in a little bit in this video, but keep that in mind. So again, I'm paying the Intel and NVIDIA tax for my computers, but that tax is very much worth it because these are the most stable, rock solid computers I have ever owned. I don't think I've had a single blue screen on these things. And that just shows how stable these my particular Intel and NVIDIA systems are. I do not have any of those 14th gen i9s because I'm not interested in those. And again, the system I have right here, more than adequate enough, especially currently now the way computers are with everything. This thing is not going to be upgraded anytime soon. So the second time I decided to do the 3 strikes and you're out was with my ROG Zephyrus G14, or well, let's look at the third one right here. Just this motherboard been all the whack. So what was wrong with these guys? They were all defective out of the factory. All 3. I can remember exactly the defects. Every single one. These capacitors right here for the video card would screech like no tomorrow whenever you use this thing. Sometimes one of them was about 2 weeks after ownership. The second one was right out of the fucking box. And the third one was about maybe 2 days out of the box. That's issues number 1. Issues number 2. The second one had a busted fan. The first one, the second one, and the third one had defective screens. Dead pixels on every single one were defective. And on top of that was the wireless card, which I believe goes, right here or something like that? It actually goes right there. The wireless card on this thing was a MediaTek chip. And of course, when you do online gaming, you would lag the fuck out and just be unplayable. Obviously, the easiest fix on that was an Intel card, but obviously this thing never met the Intel card I was originally planning on buying for it because every single one was defective. And you want to know what made me put the floor of shame onto the third one? I had the balls to play Minecraft on it. Every single time I tried to play Minecraft on it, it would crash. Nothing I do would work. After multiple attempts of trying to play fucking Minecraft, it met the floor. And you may be wondering, why did I not return it? My parents would not let me return it. I have no idea why they would not let me return these laptops. I went through 3 of them. They would not let me return them. And unfortunately, well, you know the routine by now. So that's the second time the 3 strikes you're out policy went into play. I have never touched an Asus laptop product ever again. But surprisingly enough, their motherboard I have in my secondary computer is the most stable motherboard I've ever owned, next to the one in my main rig, but still. Surprisingly enough, their main desktop boards are nice and stable and consistent, but apparently their laptops are total fucking garbage. And of course now the most recent 3 strikes you're out, and this time it's more for a hobby. I've had 3 3D printers now. A FlashForge Finder 3, I believe, or something like that. It's a it's a full black frame with a red top 3D printer, one of the old ones. Like I said before, I did not have any bed. I couldn't have it. Nothing would actually stick. This Benchy was the only thing I ever got out of that 3D printer. And if I go to here, yeah, you can definitely tell she ain't laying flat. So she definitely lifted. But this was the only 3D print I ever got out of that printer. And of course, my A1 printer right here, it printed it out just fine. And of course, it also printed out the big one just fine also. So the Finder 3 or whatever I had, it did technically work. I just couldn't get anything to adhere to it. So I think I already mentioned it before, and I'll just mention it all over again. At the time, I was like, okay, I don't know what's going on. I know this printer is not meant for me. I returned it, and I waited for something better to come out. And then when that happened, I got myself the King Room printer I did a video on a little while back too of me just, well, you know by now. It meant the floor. Well, actually more meant the hammer. But yeah, that one was defective out of the factory too. There is actually a little void in the hot end. And if you're into 3D printing, you already know exactly what's going on with that printer. Filament will just solidify in that void, clog, and it's fucked. I mean, yes, you can unclog it, but it's a constant routine. Sometimes you can get a few layers down before it clogs, or you can't even get a single layer down. That thing was a pile of fucking shit. And of course, the third and final strike on the 3D hobby for me was the Bambu A1. This thing, as we already know, lasted 3 weeks before the head decided, or the hot end right here decided to just miraculously start clogging mid-print. And like I said, I'm not chasing ghosts. I do not have any knowledge. Well, I have no proof that a new head will fix the issue. I don't know that. You don't know that. I am not putting any more money into this printer just to chase ghosts that aren't even going to possibly fix the issue. I already put God only knows how much money into filament. It was going to become a money pit on just filament. There's no way in fucking hell I'm going to be putting more money into a print head, gears, and all this other bullshit just to theoretically fix something that shouldn't be happening in the first place. So that's why this thing meant the feet of shame, I guess, in this instance, or actually the hands, because the hands is what I actually did to fully destroy this thing, but still, yeah. So, like I said, 3 strikes and you're out. So, I'm done with the 3D print hobby. I'm going back to full papercraft and whatnot, and technology and whatnot, which is what I really do like to do. I love my papercraft. I love my papercraft figurines, and I love technology. I mean, technically a 3D printer is also technology too, but still. So that's my rationality on why I went full tard mode, I guess would be the term. And before anyone says anything in the comments, I'm legally autistic. I can say tard mode and you can't do anything about it. You know, I'm just using leftist logic against leftoids. I love doing that. But seriously though, when it comes to this 3D printing hobby, unless a company decides to have the balls to send me a 3D printer to prove that their printers are actually better, 3D printing as a whole for my channel is done. As I mentioned in the previous video, I'm keeping my Cappy, I'm keeping my AR, I'm keeping all the other 3D prints I got, as long as the PLA doesn't just give out on me. I'm hoping that doesn't happen for my Cappy because I really like how she came out. I was absolutely praising my A1 for how well she came out. But obviously, that praise is gone now because it decided to fucking die on me. So, with that all said and done, I do want to apologize yet again for making a complete and total ass of myself. I apologize for showing me in my worst lights possible. But, like I mentioned before, I am not a shill for Bambu. If I'm going to be having issues with these things, I'm going to be showing it in its worst form possible. I am tired of these things not working. I got freaking hook, line, and sinkered by all the freaking assholes in the 3D print community that say these goddamn things just fucking work. And on top of that, I got multiple people on multiple Facebook groups I did a post on where I said I was done with this thing and I showed what I did to it. I got multiple people saying that they have print farms with these things of upwards of 10 to 20, and they have thousands upon thousands upon thousands of hours on these printers, and they don't have a single fucking issue. And yet mine only lasts 3 weeks. They're either fucking lying or this thing was fucking defective right out of the gate, and it only just decided to show up after the return window is gone. I don't know what to think, but like I said, I'm talking too much. I'm rambling too much. I'm making myself more of a fool than I already am. So when it comes to what am I going to do with these components, well, I'm going to make a nice little plaque for the head. I'm going to make a nice little plaque for, well, everything I got here, excluding this power supply, because this power supply can actually be used for something. This I actually salvaged because I might actually find a use for it. So the power supply is very much saved, but the print head and the motherboard I'm gonna be putting onto a little poster and hanging it somewhere and just like name it the Wall of Shame or something. I don't know. I actually did that for the Zephyrus G14, and I'm gonna do it with this one too. It's going to stay on my wall for at least 2 weeks, or not 2 weeks, at least 2 years or so. Did I actually damage Cappy? No, I did not. Again, I absolutely love how my Cappy came out. I just fucking hate how this thing just died. But what you gonna do? Just cut my losses and move on. Again, I'm gonna go back to papercraft and whatnot. So when it comes to my papercraft stuff, I'm gonna be doing something on my YouTube channel in probably a couple weeks. But I need to get a few things in first. So with that said, again, I want to apologize for showing off myself in the worst light possible. I am very self-aware. I'm showing myself off in not the best of light. But also, I'm showing off this in the worst light possible also. Because, well, who knows? I might just save someone, what are they now, like $600, $700 for these things? I might just save some poor guy or person $700 in not going into the 3D print hobby. Just, if you're on the fence on getting into the 3D print hobby, personally, I suggest you don't. Don't become the next me with a 3D printer that works for 3 weeks and then just shits the bed.